everyone. So here's what I'll say before I get started on the office hours. So yesterday, you guys know that I spent a bit of time trying to make it work. And I was like, okay, fine, no problem. The Zoom and the Facebook were just not acting correctly. So I said, all right, then I'll just do it tomorrow, that which is July 1st today. When I tried to do it, we start having storms and things were just not panning out as they should have. So I said, the devil is a lie. I'm going to get this taken care of. I don't care how I have to do it. It's like they don't want me to let you guys know what's going on. All right. So welcome everyone. This is office hours where we talk about things that are happening and the trends that are going on in real estate, right? You don't have to normally, you don't have to make an appointment or you just kind of drop in. So the three things that I kind of wanted to cover more than anything is first market trends and data, right? And then I want to give some advice to my buyers as well as my sellers, right? And then I was going to have it open for a Q&A, but I'll just answer some of the questions that are always asked to me. Let's do it that way. So let's first talk about what the market trends are. And so I was really going to cover the market trends for Maryland as well as for Pennsylvania, as I'm licensed in both and I have clientele in both places, right? So let's talk a little bit about that, if we will, right? So the market trend overall in Maryland, the average home sales price is like 425, right? And that's really up to 2.125% from quarter one. So that was in quarter two. All of this information that I'm telling you actually relates to as of June 30th, 2025. All right. So, we're past that date. At any rate, so that's kind of, so let me just give you an overall of the state of Maryland. All right. So first of all, yes, the average home sales price in the state of Maryland is about 425,000. And that's up from quarter one, as I already said, like 2.125%. The other thing is that the days on market are about 18 days, which is a lot faster than quarter one. So for quarter two, houses were really moving fast. So what does that mean? That means inventory is down, meaning that um, when things come on the market, they're moving because people need housing, right? And they've made a decision to purchase, and so now they're going to move forward. So housing inventory is down about 5% overall for the state of Maryland the last quarter, right? So the low supply or the low inventory is what is keeping these prices steady and have them going up, because basic economics, right? If you have supply and you have demand, okay? If the supply is low and the demand is high, that means you're going to have a higher price, right? So right now we're in low inventory, which is about, like I said, about down about 5% overall for the state of Maryland. So that means the prices are pretty much steady where they are, and they can only go up, right? Because it's a higher demand for housing, right? Particularly single family homes, right? So how many listings did they have in the state of Maryland? So across Maryland, there were about, I'm looking at my data at this point, $6,200 homes that were on the market for sale in quarter two. Okay. Buyers' demand remains strong in two counties in particular. So we're going to talk about some of the counties that I deal with all the time, but I just wanted to let you guys know that the demand is high in two counties in the state of Maryland, and that is Baltimore County and Howard County. Those prices and demand for homes in those areas are very, very high. So just keep that in mind when you're thinking about purchasing, as well as if you're thinking about selling. Okay. The popular price band all over the state of Maryland, really, in my opinion, it's really nationwide. And that is anywhere from 350,000 to 450,000. That's like a sweet spot, right? If you can buy a home for that price. Okay. Here's the key. If that's your price point, guess what? It's everybody else's price point too. And as a result, houses are moving fast in that price point. Okay. So now let's talk about one of the counties that I'm often in and where my clients are as well, and that's Prince George's County. All right. So let me just talk about quarter 2 only for Prince George's County. I say PG County, but people get upset for some reason. So I've been trying to say Prince George's County, right? So the average home sale price in Prince George's County is actually less than the state of Maryland. The average home price is $410,000. Um, and I'm talking about quarter 2, but that's what it is. So it's slightly a little bit lower than the state of Maryland, which I told you was like 425, right? However, with that being said, the prices in that county also went up, right? The overall state of Maryland went up from quarter 1, but so did Prince George's County, and it's up 2.3%. Okay, great. So it's a little bit higher than the state average, which was 2.125. Okay. The days on market for Prince George's County is actually lower. It's 16 days on market. That means from the time that is listed to sell till it goes under contract. That is only 16 days in Prince George's County. So that's faster than the Maryland average, which was 18 days. Got it? Here's the thing about Prince George's County. Inventory is low. The market is what we call tight. And what do I mean by that? That means that the inventory is low and there's a high demand. The thing in Prince George's County, I was going to say PG, is that the homes, single family homes, are at a premium. Everyone in Prince George's County is looking for a single family home. So that market is extremely tight. Okay, just keep that in mind if that's one of the things that you're looking for, especially if your home is priced under 450,000 in Prince George's County. Okay, how many homes were active? Okay, so in Prince George's County, as of June 2025, let me see what that number is 1,450 homes were on the market for sale. Okay, the reason that Prince George's County is such a heavy interest or demand is because of its proximity to what? To the District of Columbia, right? As well as first-time home buyers, particularly if they were or are government workers. The other thing is that everyone knows that they can get an FHA loan pretty much, right? And if you can qualify for an FHA loan, guess what? You have a lower down payment because you have 3.5% versus the traditional, what people think of 20%. You don't even need that anymore, right? 3 or 3.5%, depending on which loan product you end up being able to utilize, you can get and have a down payment and get into a home. So those are the 3 things that make Prince George's County really, really, really um, a desirable place to live. Okay. Um, the competitive price though for Prince George's County is 350 to like 425. In that market, you're going to have stiff competition. So when I tell my clients, when you have stiff competition at a certain price point, that means everybody else is at that price point. So we need to do some things in order to make sure that if you really desire that home, that you can actually make an offer, your offer get accepted, and you can get into that home. All right. With that being said, all right. So let's talk about some other things that I want to say about Prince George's County. So here's what I tell my buyers that want to get into PG County. All right. If the home is under $425,000, understand there will be multiple offers without question. There's not enough inventory for it not to be. And so as a result, there'll be quick turnarounds, right? Buyers should come prepared to offer full price. This is not where you really are going to be able to get a bargain in this type of environment overall, right? You still may be able to at some point, but not right now if you're under 425,000, because that's really a sweet spot for a lot of individuals looking to purchase. So with that being said, you need to make sure that you are fully approved, not pre-qualified. And I'm going to have an office hour on that real soon. but pre-approved, that has been vetted, that has actually gone to an underwriter, even if it's preliminarily done. If you've done it, it needs to happen so that you can have your pre-approval when you put your offer in, which is so important. That's going to be like key. It's, oh my God, it's so important, right? Um, Townhomes are kind of the sweet spot in Prince George's County because the single family homes are being, everybody wants them. Like they're the, what people are going for. But townhomes offer great alternatives, particularly in the Prince George's County area, if you want the proximity that I was speaking about to the District of Columbia. Okay. So that's my buyer's tips for the people that are buyers in this community. Now let's talk about the sellers. Okay. So for the sellers in Prince George's County, I will tell you staging. If you can afford it, makes a difference. Even lightly staging gets your home sold a lot faster. Homes that are staged, and I've experienced this with my sellers as well, have went under contract within 10 to 14 days versus where you may be 21 to maybe even 30 to 45 days out if the home is not staged, right? Having a home staged lets the individuals that are potential buyers understand what your house is and the potential that lies therein, okay? Sellers need to price competitively. What do I mean by that? Trust your realtor when it comes to pricing. They have done their homework. They know, it's not just a cursory of what the comps are, which is the term that we use, but if they've done even a more extensive, because of this market and how the market is right now, that's what you want to rely on, right? And so just be good with understanding and make sure they explain it to you. Hey, why are you suggesting that I sell my house for this price? They should be able to sit down and explain to you why it is that you need to set your offer, your sales price at the price that it's gonna would be listed for. Understood? We got that? Any questions? Okay. All right. Closing help and warranty, offering a warranty on a home as a seller are things that will get a lot of buyer interest. So you don't have to offer a lot, but if you can offer some closing help, particularly in this economy, to buyers, then you're going to get a lot of buyer interest, as well as if you offer a home warranty for a year, you'll get a lot of interest because that gives people, number one, with the home warranty, peace of mind about any of the utilities or appliances breaking down, right? So they don't have to worry about that. Also, with regard to closing help, it allows people to have more funds available to them in order to get it into your home. All right. So that's my advice for my PG people. I know I said PG. All right. So I need to talk to my Pennsylvania people just for a second. So forgive me, all you Marylanders. All right. And that is, so let's talk about overall what's been happening in Pennsylvania. Well, first of all, as most of my clients in Pennsylvania know, the market is a little bit better price wise there because of the type of environment there is. Like, for example, let's say you live in, trying to think of a place that's really close. Let's say you live in Baltimore County. Let's use that because that's one of the highest demand counties. If you live in Baltimore County, you can go across the state line in about 15 to 20 minutes and be in Pennsylvania. And a house that may be priced $450 on the Maryland side, you might be able to get it for $375 on the Pennsylvania side, depending on where it is and what type of community. But it's that type of stark contrast that had a lot of my clients, particularly last year, going across over to Pennsylvania or trying to see how it was in Delaware or other areas to see if they could get better price point or get more value for their dollar. And I'm all about making sure that helping my clients get better value for their dollar if they can, if something they can swing. All right. So with that being said, let me just go ahead. So the days on market for Pennsylvania are 22 days. That's the Pennsylvania statewide average, right? And they are the same as they were for Q1. So that market is not having any type of fluctuation. It's not going up. It's not going down. It's holding steady. And so that's a kind of like a stable environment for buyers and for sellers, right? So that's a good thing. The inventory in Pennsylvania has slightly increased just a little bit, which has, I thought, would have increased demand, but it really has just kept things steady. But it's only been a slight, and it's really in the suburban areas. And there's competitive pricing, of course, in Philadelphia. I have a couple of clients in Philadelphia, and it's very competitive there, right? But again, if you go maybe 5 to 10, maybe 5 to 7 to 5 to 7 miles out from certain beloved areas, you still can try to find the deal. And that's what I always suggest to my clients. All right. With that being said, all right. How many homes were listed in Pennsylvania in quarter 2? Right. So, as well, not just in quarter 2, up until quarter 2, which is June 2025, there were 9,800 homes that were listed all over the state of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, because it's not a state. It's the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania that were listed for sale. Okay. So that's pretty significant if you kind of think about how many homes were listed in Maryland, right? And then you think about Pennsylvania, you try to figure out, okay, like, wow, what's the difference, right? And so the difference is, let me see. Wow, that's huge, right? Because in Maryland, you only had 6,200 homes. In Pennsylvania, for the state of Pennsylvania, you had 9,800 homes. That's pretty good, okay? All right, so first time home buyers in the state of Pennsylvania, Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, I keep saying state. No, that's wrong. In the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, they dominate as far as the people that are purchasing homes in Pennsylvania. Their price point is a little bit different, and that's anywhere from 250 to 350. They can, and so first time home buyers that can meet those metrics are buying. All right, just so that you know. Okay. So let's talk about some quarter 3 strategies, because we're officially in quarter 3. Can you believe it? Like, July's here. Where did the year go? It seems like we were just starting off in January. All right. I know I digress a little bit, but okay. With that being said, so let's talk about some of the tips that I would tell any of my clients. First of all, I will say to you, just so that we're very clear, interest rates right now, so let's talk to the buyers first. So interest rates right now are about 6.75%, I think, somewhere around there, right? And they've been holding since last um, the middle of the month, since mid-June. That's kind of where they've been, like mid-June, around June 10th or so. So I don't anticipate that rates will increase. But I would tell my buyers, because the interest rate is about 6.75%, if you are thinking about purchasing, try to get that rate locked in. I don't think that it'll increase, but I don't know, right? I really don't really know until we have a little bit more metrics, a little bit more data from the Federal Reserve as to which way they may swing. All right. They're talking about maybe for quarter 3, there might be increases. I just don't know. Okay. I hope that they hold steady for all of my clients, right? Pre approval and being ready are key to getting into a home. I'll say it again. Pre approval and being ready are key in order to get into your home. It's just that simple. If you are purchasing a home that's under $400,000, understand that those homes are moving fast. So how do you make sure that you can get yourself into this game? You make sure that you have a pre-approval. You make sure that you have everything that you need to do and you're ready to move forward, right? If you're going to need help with down payment, you check and see if there's a program that can help you. You can also have your realtor ask for seller help or closing help, right? Also, if you might need to have a gift from someone, you need to have those things already in place so that you'll be able to move forward with your offer and present a strong offer so that your offer can get accepted. All right. So that's what I will tell my buyers. So, what would I tell my sellers? What I would tell my sellers is what I said earlier. Same advice I give to my Prince George's County sellers, and that is simply this: staging, staging, staging. Well staged homes sell faster than a home that is unstaged. It's just the way it is. If people can visualize or see the potential, then they're much more likely to see themselves in that home. And that's just the truth, right? Also, for my sellers, the second piece of advice was make sure that you price your home correctly. Because if your home is priced correctly, you're going to get traffic and you're going to get competitive offers. The homes that tend to sit on the market are not priced oftentimes correctly, or they're not, there's something about that home that has made it that it has not gotten at least traffic interest. When I say traffic, I mean having buyers come and look at the property, right? um, or there may be something else that's going on, but most often the thing that stops a lot of people from even going to look at homes could be the price point. So if they never get into the house because of the price that's set for the home, and it's not kind of what the market is asking for or demanding, then that house will potentially or could potentially set on the market. And I wouldn't want that to happen for any of my sellers out there. Okay. So make sure that you consider, third piece of advice for the sellers, that you consider providing some closing cost help, right? Most of my seller clients have still seen competitive offers. What do I mean by that? Multiple offers on their property. Why? Because we tried to make sure that the property was um, priced correctly so that people that had interest could get in and see it. So then they can make a judgment call about if they wanted to put an offer in on it. Okay. That's all for now. Okay, so now let's talk about the questions, because I would have had a Q&A, but because the tech uh, gremlins wouldn't allow me to do that, let me just talk about some of the questions that have been asked of me by clients. And that is, Lisa, is this still a seller's market? My answer is yes, it is. I'm sorry, buyers. Um, but here's the good news. Some parts of some pockets, areas around the region, meaning Maryland, as well as Pennsylvania clients I'm talking to as well, have started to see a little bit of improvement. It's definitely not a buyer's market, which means, you have a lot of inventory, so you have a lot of choices. Because inventory is so low, it's still a seller's market. Okay. So, like I said, how do you win in a seller's market as a buyer? You make sure that you are pre approved and that you're ready to move forward. Okay. So, what's another question that they asked me? Trying to think. What's another question? Ah, they're always asking me, like, I am the interest rate guy. Are these rates going to hold? Okay. Um, I will tell you that I don't know. But the metrics or the data is what kind of lets us know if a interest rate hike is in the future or not. And right now they're steady. And so I can only tell you about the things that are happening right now. And right now they are steady, right? Will they drop in quarter three? I don't think so. I think that they're likely to hold steady. The reason that I say that is because you have to think about inflation, right? And inflation is the thing that we're trying to keep from going up too high, because when inflation is too high, guess what? Our cost as consumer skyrockets, right? And so one of the things we try to do is that well, not we, because I'm not the Federal Reserve, but one of the things that they try to do with the interest rate, they use that as a kind of to rein things in, to try to keep things floating and fluid versus them just straighting sky high. Okay. So that's what I would say. If when my clients ask me, I say, I don't know if the rates are going to drop this quarter, in the third quarter, but I know what they are right now. Okay. Then the famous question, shouldn't I just wait? Shouldn't I wait to buy? Right? Can I wait at least until the fall to buy? And I will tell my clients, absolutely, you can wait till the fall to buy. Why that might be advantageous is because you might have less competition in the fall. However, what you will not have, or you potentially could not have, is better interest rates in the fall. right? So keep that in mind. So it's a balancing act as to what you want to do or how you want to do that, how to make that happen. Let's see, what other questions do my clients ask me? Do I really need 20% down? Absolutely, you do not need 20% down to get into a home. I would tell my clients it's the rule of three. It's the rule of three that I always tell you guys. And you know, that's your credit score, your income, and credit score, income, and your debt to income ratio, right? Those are the three things. I call them my rule of three. And those are the things that you need to consider, right? However, if you can create a plan, and I can help you do that for sure, then you can own a home. Home ownership is 100% possible, but you have to plan to own, right? Make a strategic plan to become a homeowner, and it can be done. Don't think that it's outside of something that you can accomplish. It is the greatest investment you can make for yourself. It's something, an asset that later on that you can leverage. And you'll be amazed at the ways that you can leverage that. Okay. So closing notes. What I want to tell you guys, what I would have said if we could have made this happen on the 30th. So I would have said thank you for attending. I appreciate all of you guys hanging out with me and answering your questions and hearing what I had to say. I hope and pray that it has been helpful. I want everyone to be well, and please make sure that you take care of yourself. And if you have any questions, you know how to reach me, and I'll talk to you soon. Remember, it's a marathon, it's not a sprint. Take care. Bye bye.